Big time fight coming up this weekend at 185 pounds. Yes, you heard that right. We have the longtime light heavyweight Latvian-Canadian Misha Cirkunov taking on one tricky kickboxer in Poland's Krzysztof Jotko. And Matt, I look at this fight and there are so many, I don't want to call them like red flags, but question marks, because I look at Misha Cirkunov's Instagram. He's got like Denis Goltsov, Alexei Kunchenko, a lot of different fighters kind of training with him. Not as many pictures of just Extreme Couture, because he was a guy Extreme Couture Toronto, but then made his way down to Vegas, had a ton of success. And you know Cirkunov as a wrestler and a grappler, and this guy's submissions are wild. Absolutely wild. Look at his fight against Jim Crute, if you want an example of that. Look at his fight against Ryan Spann, if you want the opposite. And that's exactly what happens when Misha can't really find the submission. He ends up getting finished. His chin's been a little questionable. Now he's moving down in weight, and that just... the stress and the questions really start to mount. He's going to have not Ray Sefo in his corner this time out of Extreme Couture. I listened to an interview with James Lynch, fellow Canadian with Low Kick MMA, and he talked about the transition. Well, I went 6-4 at light heavyweight. Now I want to go 10-0 at middleweight to make up for it. He acts as his own agent with Mick Maynard. That was kind of neat to hear. And then the other thing that I got out of it, really training extensively at Drysdale BJJ for this one. I read between the lines because James asked, how do you see the fight going? Do you expect a finish? Well, if I get it on the feet, whatever. I expect Cirkunov to go in there and wrestle hard and look for a submission in the first round. That's a little easier said than done against Krzysztof Jotko. Like, the guy's squirrely.
What a hot take, Craig. I think Cirkunov's going to go for a first round submission. Ooh.
He didn't say it himself.
I think this is the easiest fight to predict on the whole entire card. I'm not even joking. Because it's as simple as this. Do you think Cirkunov can take Jotko down at any point throughout the fight? Do you?
Yeah.
Then Misha Cirkunov's going to win. Do you think Krzysztof Jotko can use his footwork to evade Misha Cirkunov and force him to become a striker?
Yeah.
If you think that, then you think Krzysztof Jotko can win. It is as black and white as that, and I don't think you need to overthink it whatsoever. Misha Cirkunov is not only a poor striker, there's a lack of comfort on the feet with Misha Cirkunov. And I know Krzysztof Jotko, he's not you look at his record and you hear, oh, he's a striker, he must have these crazy knockout wins. Not really. He is a point fighter, if anything, but he's a guy who can make you very frustrated on the feet because of his dynamic movement. He kind of wins fights almost by disengaging with his opponent, forcing them to rush in because they're frustrated. Tap, tap, I move to the outside, we reset, and that's a perfect Jotko fight. So, Misha Cirkunov is either going to go in there, blast a double leg, get him to the mat immediately, get him in a head and arm choke, and choke him out easily, without any resistance whatsoever. Or, Jotko's going to defend that first takedown attempt and just keep on moving. Keep on moving and keep on moving. And I'm going to even say this. If Misha has a rough weight cut, and I'm assuming it's going to be because he is a big guy he's a big guy at light heavyweight, so I'm assuming he's going to be massive for middleweight. But if he does have a compromised chin, I could even see Jotko finishing him. Jotko has shown that if he sits down on one of those strikes moving backwards, he can hurt his opponent. He didn't knock out Uriah Hall, but he was doing pretty good tit for tat, and he did rock him on the feet up until he himself got knocked out. But still, Uriah Hall has much more knockout power than Misha Cirkunov. So for me, I think it is pretty black and white. If Jotko can defend the first takedown, he can probably defend the second, third, fifth, and fourth. And if Cirkunov can get that first takedown, I think he'll probably be able to submit him within that first minute.
Krzysztof Jotko, 87% takedown defense in his UFC tenure. He's fought wrestlers in the past, and if you want to see a Krzysztof Jotko win that, listen, it could go, that's what I was going to say, it could go either way. The Marc-Andre Barriault fight where he just kind of made it boring. It was up against the cage for the most part. I thought Barriault had a good opportunity there, but for Cirkunov, the striking's not even to the level of a Barriault who has success in those exchanges up against the cage. If you want to see that Barriault win over Adam Hunter from our neck of the woods, that's a big one. The 5-on-in for Cirkunov, 2-3. The win over Jim Crute, the win over Pat Cummins, that was in Moncton of all places. I got the poster next to me. The losses, Glover Teixeira, Johnny Walker, and Ryan Spann. We look at the odds for this fight. Again, you don't have to look all that far because Misha Cirkunov is the underdog making his move down. Open to plus 140s, plus 134. For Krzysztof Jotko, open to minus 160s, minus 161. If we have a look at the Topology votes, neck and neck. Wow. 839 total votes, 51% Jotko, 65% by decision, 27% by knockout. For the 49% that have Cirkunov, 27% by decision, 59% by submission. I'm going to take Cirkunov by submission in this one. But again, Jotko has good takedown defense. I've never seen Misha Cirkunov at 185. So that's something that I need to see. So we'll have to see what he looks like on the scales. If he looks bad, if he misses weight, if this fight doesn't even take place, question mark kicks on Saturday, 2 hours before the fights. I get a final say on that one, so maybe I switch over to Jotko. But as of right now, I like that Misha is focusing in on what he's good at. Against a striker, I like Cirkunov.
If Jotko is having success, it's going to look great.
Yep.
Because Misha, his cardio isn't very good to begin with. So now you'd have to imagine an even more depleted Misha is going to have even worse cardio. So if Jotko, again, I think if he can defend the first takedown attempt, frustrate Misha, make him march forward in that kind of like, I'll say unique, I want to call it just downright bad, but he does have that very upright style to his striking where it's kind of predictable to see when Misha Cirkunov is going for a takedown attempt because he is so upright with his striking. I think if Jotko can use his footwork to just evade Cirkunov, he'll be able to get a decision win. But again, this is one of those fights where either Cirkunov looks amazing or Jotko looks amazing.
Matt has Poland's and American top team zone, Krzysztof Jotko to get the win. I'm going with Misha Cirkunov representing Latvia and Canada. Big time fights up on top of this card. Holland taking on Daukaus. Santos taking on Walker. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night picks, as we always say. Let's get into it.